Well, the referendum will see voters as young as 16 and 17 having their say, and many of them will, of course, be looking ahead to university, considering how independence might affect their future prospects. So let's discuss the whole issue of education and the priorities for young people generally in this choice. I'm joined today by the Secretary of Edinburgh University's Conservative and Unionist Association, Ed Hughes, and Kelly Parry, who's finishing her year as President of Edinburgh College Students Association, in this city that has, I think it's 4 universities, a huge number of students here, aren't there, Kelly?
Yeah.
So why? You want a yes vote, but why? Because Scotland already has control of education, doesn't it, under a devolved government. So what difference would a yes vote make, do you think?
I think that education has been incredibly successful in Scotland, and we've got some of the best universities in the world. But I think that students aren't just students, they're also workers, and they're also parents. I'm a parent and I'm also a worker. So when I'm thinking ahead to September the 18th, I'm also thinking about welfare reforms, and I'm also thinking about what it means in terms of employment and creating job opportunities. And the way that, certainly that I see it, is that having full fiscal autonomy in the Scottish Parliament allows the people of Scotland to make those decisions for themselves.
So it's not just education, but on the subject of education, Ed, do you think it makes any difference, this vote? Does it make any difference whether or not it stays part of the union or is independent?
Oh, definitely. The funding issue has already been raised significantly with universities. And then you, of course, have the EU issue over students, if they can, of course.
Well, yes, let's explain this. Because under the EU rules, if Scotland were independent, students in the rest of the UK would be allowed to enjoy Scotland's free tuition. That's right, isn't it?
I think, yes, if Scotland were an independent member state of the EU. And, of course, that would put a further burden of £150 million, I think it's a statistic, of students coming to Scotland, because the surge would be, we'd all go, let's go to Scotland, it's free. But that would, of course, put a huge burden already with a university system that has a £200 million deficit annually. And University of Scotland have said that this would be untenable, and even some of the S&P literature and interim reports that there would be a short-term funding crisis.
Okay, so possibly a funding crisis, and also a shortage of places potentially for Scottish people, I suppose, if there's everyone in England or other parts of the UK think, I'll go up and enjoy free tuition. Is that something you worry about?
Well, I think these kind of debates always bring home to me how fantastic our education system is in Scotland, and I'm incredibly proud that Scotland has free education. I think there has already been a few options set out as to how we could get round the matter of fees and English students coming to Scotland, and I think they should still feel incredibly welcome. But actually, I think the real matter here is that English and Welsh students are getting charged fees. They're getting charged some of the highest fees in Europe. So for me, the issue is actually charging tuition fees in the first place. If we were to get rid of those after independence, then actually we wouldn't be having this debate.
Okay, and one quick word about international students as well, outside of the EU. I mean, is there an issue, do you think, about the image of Scottish universities? Does it change at all, do you think, if it's not part of the UK?
Yes, there was a survey which showed 46% of students, international students, said they'd be less likely to come to an independent Scotland. And other people saying, there was one person from Thailand said, people in Thailand have heard of the UK, not Scotland. They come to Scotland, and I think also students said that, I think it was 37%, so they would feel their degree would have a lower value in an independent Scotland. And this is something that, if the perception is altered among students, you've got to think about employers as well. And something you were saying about job opportunities, that if perception changed there, then it would have a severe knock-on effect, because then students would think, if employers' perceptions change as well.
I think it's really interesting to talk about international students, and I think one of the barriers that Scotland has at the moment is it doesn't have powers over immigration, and that can be a barrier to attracting international students at the moment. So actually, in an independent Scotland where we had full powers over immigration policies, I actually think that would be a positive thing for international students.
Okay, and a quick word, Ed, we've talked a little bit with Kelly about some of the other issues that she's thinking about voting on. You talked about welfare, for example. Is education the reason why you want to vote no, or what are the issues that assess you as a young person looking ahead to future generations in a future Scotland?
Well, education is the main one for me, being part of the education system, and so I have a long-term investment in that, and as Kelly pointed out, quite a large monetary investment as well. But I think mainly there are the main economic issues as well, and the main question that comes in my mind is again the EU, and if Scotland had fought so hard to get independence, why would it then want to surrender all its sovereign powers back up to the EU? Which it doesn't seem to make much sense, so it might cause friction within the
Okay, well, I'm going to need you two to carry on the debate in the sunshine here, outside Holyrood, outside the Scottish Parliament. Really nice to meet both of you, Ed and Kelly. Thanks very much indeed.